Hey guys, Jeff here from besttechie.com. Today I want to talk about WWDC or WWDC 2018. Just happened this past week on Monday, June 4th. Again, 2018. So I want to do a little video talking about some of the things that interested me, some of the things that didn't interest me so much, but also just do an overall recap and kind of add some of my thoughts into the mix right here for you on the Best Techie YouTube channel. So thanks for watching. Let's jump right in, shall we? All right, so I want to start off with iOS 12. iOS 12, they released the first beta on Monday after the conference, after the keynote. And I went ahead, being the best techie that I am, and I downloaded it right away onto my iPad and my iPhone. And right out of the gate, I have to tell you, I'm really impressed. One of the things that I was worried about, and that you could see with past Apple developer, betas, if you will, was that, the very first one was buggy. And that's obviously to be expected for a developer beta. But the iOS 12 beta, you can see that Apple has really focused a lot on improving speed and stability of iOS in iOS 12 in this update that's coming out in the fall. They've spent a lot of time improving loading times, better battery consumption, better processing of better processing power, utilizing the CPU more efficiently in the various different iPhones and iPads. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out in the final version. Already I'm noticing that iOS 12 is a lot faster on my device. It's just beta 1, so that's pretty cool. Another really cool thing that they've done in iOS 12 is that Face ID has been improved. I noticed that it's actually even faster, and it even gets more angles, seem to work. Even when I'm lying in bed, I found, I had previous issues with Face ID. Now it seems to work even lying in bed on, again, weird angles. Another interesting thing about Face ID I want to point out is that now you can have multiple faces, multiple people added to your Face ID, at least 2. So you can add another person to be able to unlock your phone using Face ID, which is really, really cool. Definitely was also one of the most one of the thing that was requested by a lot of people as well. All right, so this is a cool one. Siri shortcuts. I'm really, really stoked about Siri shortcuts. Now, the Siri shortcut app is not baked into the first beta of iOS 12, but some of the functionality is there if you utilize the Workflow app, which actually was the app that Apple acquired and has turned into Siri shortcuts. I think Siri shortcuts is going to be a really, really nice feature. Workflow was it's still around. You can still download it as of right now. It's an excellent app. Allows you to create, essentially little workflows that can allow you to do things like, if you're listening to a song and you want to share that song on Twitter, you press a button and it then creates the tweet for you and sends it out, or shares the album art, for example, on Instagram and stuff like that. You can do a whole bunch of really interesting things. And Apple has basically taken that technology and they've worked really hard to simplify it into Siri shortcuts. And I'm really excited to see what developers do with it, but also what the capabilities are from a individual's point of view when you download the Siri shortcut, when you have the Siri shortcut app on your phone and you go ahead and create your own, how easy that actually is at the end of the day. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. Another thing in iOS 12 that they've added is stacked notifications in the notification menu. So, you're on Instagram, post a photo, all your friends and followers go and like or comment on that post, and you get like 1 million, Instagram notifications one after the other. It just pushes down everything else. Now that they have stacked notifications, essentially what you can do is you tap on, it combines them all into one, the latest one being on top, and then you tap on it, and then it expands it out, and you can, as like an accordion kind of menu thing, and then you can shrink it back together into a single notification as well. So I really like that feature. I think it's super useful. I'm excited to see that. Also with iOS 12, they have this new thing called Screen Time, which is, if you're familiar with, Google, and they recently released the Android P beta, and they have a similar thing called, well-being features or something like that. Screen Time is a similar idea, but essentially what you're doing is, what it does is it tracks your usage of what apps you use, how much you pick up your phone, how long you use those apps. You can also then use features as part of screen time to limit the usage of particular apps, or kind of, you know, say, all right, you used Instagram now for like an hour and a half, maybe you should put your phone down, and, you know, things like that. I personally am indifferent about this feature. I think at the very least, I'm curious to just see how my phone usage kind of plays out. I'll be keeping an eye on the metrics, just because I'm interested in that. I love analytics and I love data, but like, it's not something I see myself using very often. And also, I think it's important to note that someone on Reddit made an astute realization that it also tracks, if you use Safari, it tracks every website that you go to and how long you spend time on it. So it could imagine the way the Redditor pointed it out was, you know, you're showing your friends what different apps you use, how long you spend, and then all of a sudden Pornhub just, the URL, it actually will say www.pornhub.com. You spent like 3 hours on it or something. It could be a little bit embarrassing. But as far as I know, it only works on Safari. So if you use the Safari browser, which is the default one, obviously in iOS. If you use Google Chrome, I haven't seen it report what web pages you're on, just that you use Google Chrome. So just something to keep in mind. And then the last thing for iOS 12 that I want to talk about today is Memoji, or as Craig Federici said, I think at one point, Memoji. So yeah, there's Memoji. I created one myself. I'll have to share it another time, but it's really, I don't know, it kind of looks like me, I guess, in a little bit of way, like a more cartoonish way. That's the point. But basically, instead of, you had like those animojis you had before, now you can create one that, emulates you. They have all different kinds of, ways you can, change the hairstyle, whether you have facial hair, whether you have long hair, short hair, how big your ears are, all different kinds of things you can do with Memoji. It looks pretty cool. It's fun to play with. I've been playing with it a little bit. But yeah, that's just more of a gimmicky thing probably than anything, but a lot of people have fun with it, obviously. So moving on to the next section of this video is watchOS 5. watchOS 5 is coming out, again, the same time as iOS 12 and macOS 10.14, or Mojave, which we'll get to after this. And watchOS 5 has some really nice features built in. I'm just want to talk about like two of them. One is it has the walkie-talkie feature, which looks pretty cool. There was an app that I used to use with Mandy very briefly. It kind of got old really quick, but that was similar to this. But I think that with it built into the watch, it actually may be something that may get some more use. I remember growing up in the 90s, and they always had those Nextel commercials, and they had which were essentially like walkie-talkie cell phones, and I remember wanting one of them so badly. So this is like next level kind of, stuff here. So we'll see if I end up using it, or if it just kind of fades over time. But it is cool to see that they added this walkie-talkie feature. The other thing that they added a whole bunch of other stuff too, but the other thing I'm just going to talk about real quick is the podcast functionality. So before in watchOS 4 you could stream music. Now you can also listen to your podcast directly in watchOS 5. So if you prefer to do that while running or working out as opposed to music, now you can do that easy peasy. Really cool. And lastly, this is not a feature, but watchOS 5 no longer supports the original Apple Watch. So I feel bad for all those people who bought a $10,000 watch or a $17,000 watch, and now it's pretty much obsolete. So yeah, that's ouch, right? All right, so we made it to the last section of this video, right? All right, so macOS 10.14 Mojave. I love the name, by the way. It's just a cool name. Similar to iOS 12. Apple has focused a lot on speed improvements and performance and stability and creating a better operating system. Because I think one of the things that people have been complaining about, not just on Mac OS and iOS, is that Apple has kind of fallen behind in terms of their attention to details when it comes to bugginess. A lot of people have been complaining about just a lot of bugs and small things that shouldn't happen or shouldn't be happening. They're just not enough. They're just, so I think what Apple has done is they've taken a step back and they're like, all right, we have to come up with like the snow leopard release of Mac OS, and iOS for that matter, and really just hammer down and fix all these bugs and these issues and get it as solid as possible. And I think that's what they're doing with these two releases, so I'm excited about that. So the other really big feature that came out, that's coming out in macOS Mojave is dark mode. Been like hugely requested by like pretty much everyone who runs macOS has wanted dark mode for so many years. At first they gave you a little menu bar in the dock and they made it look a little bit darker, but now they have went out and did full-on dark mode. So even the Finder is dark and all the apps are dark. Like they really went all out. And one of the things that you'll see when you test this out or when you download it in the fall is they spend a lot of attention to detail, as Apple normally would. It's not just like another theme or skin that they just threw on top. They actually spent a lot of time making sure all the icons look great, all the color palette is perfect, and that it really works. And they actually have, if you're a developer, they have a video that they put together at WWDC that they recorded it there, showing developers how to best implement the dark mode functionality into their apps. So definitely, if you're a developer, you're going to want to check that out. You can find it on the developer portal. Here's something a lot of people, including myself, were really frustrated and concerned about. The Mac App Store had been neglected for a very long time. In fact, so much so that many developers actually pulled their apps from the Mac App Store and no longer offered them through that. They just offered them through their website or what have you. The Mac App Store has been completely revamped, and they've made a lot of improvements there. And they obviously have made the commitment that they're going to spend more time making sure that the Mac App Store is not kind of left behind and forgotten, which is good. It's very, very good. So I'm excited to see that. And you're also seeing that Apple has already brought back certain developers to the Mac App Store because of this update. So hopefully they're able to keep them, and that they actually, they stay to their word on this. Because I think it's important that the Mac App Store gets just as much love as the iOS App Store, because I love Mac OS. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about today that happened at the keynote was with the announcement that in the new version of Safari on Mac OS Mojave, they're bringing fave icons back. They're bringing fave icons back to the tab bar. That's right. So, like when you have like a million tabs open, you never can like see how many, what page is what. Usually, I always look to the fave icon to see what page to click on. Well, that wasn't the case in Safari for the longest time now. But they're bringing them back, so now you'll be able to see what pages are what without having to, hover over or click on just to figure out what website you just clicked on. You'll see the fave icon, you'll be able to tell immediately. Small little things like that make a difference. But it's super nice that they finally added them back. Thanks for watching. This has been, of course, a besttechie.com production. How do you like that? No, really. Thanks for watching. If you have any, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about WWDC, so feel free to leave a comment down below, and or shoot me an email, jeff@besttechie.com, and I'll get back to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, take care of your computers.